Anybody want to come pet? It's free. Go ahead. I'm giving you the chance. Well, it's great to be back in Martin County, and I'm joined here by our Executive Director for FWC, Roger Young, our Board Chairman, Rodney Barretto. We have Representatives Gossett, Seidman, and Gerwig from the Palm Beach area. And we also have Inversa Leathers co-founder and CEO, Arab Chavda, and we'll talk about how they're involved in a second. But I think most people know we've placed an enormous amount of emphasis on Florida Everglades restoration. It's the biggest environmental restoration project in the history of the country. And it's not something that's easy. It's obviously something that had lost momentum prior to me becoming governor, but we knew that we needed to use all of our efforts to make a big difference. We know that the Everglades is important, part of the backbone of the state of Florida. It provides needed fresh water to Florida Bay, as well as clean drinking water for more than 8 million Floridians. Also provides irrigation for folks who are involved in our state's agriculture. This is a river of grass that also acts as a natural flood barrier for storm surge during hurricanes, filters out pollutants and absorbs excess nutrients, and of course replenishing Florida's aquifers. And so this is something that people understand is important, but it's also something that required a big commitment. And so when I became governor, we launched a major initiative to further advance the goal of Everglades restoration. Everything that we promised that we would do in terms of funding in particular, we've not only fulfilled those promises, but we far exceeded the promises. You know, those were bold promises. A lot of people didn't think we'd be able to do it, and we over-delivered on those promises. We promised $2.5 billion my first 4 years. We delivered $3.3 billion. That was more than the previous 12 years in the state of Florida combined. We also said we would do $3.5 billion in this term. We've already done $4.6 billion, and we're not done yet. So we've done almost $8 billion for restoring Florida's Everglades and improving Florida's water quality during this administration. We have reached more Everglades project milestones than ever before in state history. We've completed or broke ground on more than 75 different projects. 2020 S333 water control structure, which doubles the amount of water that can be moved south in Everglades National Park. 2021 Old Tamiami Trail roadbed removal project, 6 months ahead of schedule. Also allows more water to flow underneath that bridge into Everglades National Park. 2021 C44 Reservoir stormwater treatment area. As many people on the east coast of Florida know, if you'd have had that in 2016, you could have cleaned the water instead of having all the dirty water discharge, and it led to those massive algae blooms. So that provides clean fresh water to Indian River Lagoon and St. Lucie Estuary. Since 2019, we've reduced the amount of nutrients in South Florida waterways by almost 750,000 pounds per year of nitrogen and almost 500,000 pounds per year of phosphorus. You know, these projects and others have brought cumulative nutrient removal efforts to over 1.8 million pounds of nitrogen and 770,000 pounds of phosphorus each and every year. Now in August, we marked another important milestone with the opening of the C43 reservoir, the Caloosahatchee Reservoir, 10,000 acre, 55 billion gallon storage site that protects the Caloosahatchee estuary from harmful discharges and provides strategic water flow to support Southwest Florida. C43 project is fully operational with a state-of-the-art pump station capable of moving 650,000 gallons of water per minute, a testament to what we can achieve when we lead. And while the C-43 is, of course, a major milestone for Southwest Florida, it's one of a broader array of restoration efforts, and most significantly is the southern reservoir, the EAA reservoir, which we completed the state-funded stormwater treatment area ahead of schedule. The EAA reservoir will be 10,000 acres, will store excess water from Lake Okeechobee, over 78 billion gallons of water. That's enough to fill more than 118,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The reservoir itself, it'll be larger than Manhattan. And when operational, it will deliver between 270 and 470 billion gallons of clean fresh water to the Everglades and Florida Bay every year. And thanks to our partnership with the Trump administration, the Army Corps of Engineers is now delegating some of the federal share of projects to the state, so they'll fund and we'll do it. And we do it quicker. And that's why we just opened the pump station last month, and we've got more news to come on that horizon as well. So that is all being accelerated because of that partnership with the Army Corps and the state of Florida. And I appreciate, they've been very good because they say, listen, you guys do well on this stuff, and we want to empower you. And that wasn't true in the previous 4 years. So the sky's the limit there. And because of that partnership, the federal component wasn't scheduled to be done until 2034. Now it's scheduled for completion in 2029, so 5 years earlier than what they had said to do. So obviously it's important to do all this for the well-being of Floridians, for our culture, our access to water, all these other things, but it's also important for the wildlife, because we have amazing wildlife historically in the Everglades. It's one of the most biodiverse ecosystems anywhere in the United States. Over 350 species of birds, 40 species of mammals, and a rich variety of reptiles and fish. And that includes almost 36 threatened or endangered species, including, of course, the Florida panther. So some of these species can't be found anywhere else in the world. They only live in Florida's Everglades. But it's not just about plants and animals in and of themselves, as important as that is. We have a strong tourism industry which relies heavily on protection, survival, and thriving wildlife populations that call Florida home. People will come and they will look at all this stuff, and they have a great time doing it with the birds and all the other different species. So we are proud of that being a destination. But here's the thing. The water flows needed to be restored. We've done that better than anybody thought possible, and we're going to continue to do more. But that's not lack of water, and not having the original plumbing as God intended is not the only threat to all of these species. In fact, these species are under a unique threat from one particular invasive species that threatens the survival and the balance of the whole ecosystem, and that is the dreaded Burmese python you see right there. These are giant snakes that are not native to here. They were introduced through the exotic pet trade, and they were released into the wild once they got too big for their owners to keep them in the house. How stupid do you have to be to have released these things into the house, or out of your house and into the wild? But that's exactly what happened. This is many decades ago that this happened. It's created huge problems because of that. So those were terrible decisions. This is an apex predator right here. It threatens the survival of many endangered species. A single female python can lay up to 100 eggs at a time, and they have no natural predators in the Florida Everglades. So their population has exploded. Native mammals, ranging from raccoons and rabbits to foxes and even deer, have seen their numbers dwindle. These things will take out a deer. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're able to do. Ground nesting birds face threat from these big snakes. Even larger mammals like the panther, one of Florida's most iconic native species, now have to compete with these pythons for food, which drives home the threat of an already endangered species. And so, since 2019, we've taken unprecedented action to remove pythons from the Everglades. Under my direction, FWC and DEP have allowed for the removal of invasive Burmese pythons from all Florida state parks. The agencies entered into agreement that resulted in an additional 135 acres of land that are now accessible for python removal. We've also worked with the federal government, which has granted our request to increase access to federal lands for python removal, particularly Big Cypress National Preserve in Southwest Florida. And this past year, we were proud to further our ongoing investment in python removal efforts by securing $2 million in the annual budget for FWC to remove pythons from the Everglades. We provided record funding to Florida's annual Python Challenge, which offers participants a chance to win a share of tens of thousands of dollars in prizes for removing invasive Burmese pythons from the wild. People that are professional python hunters, but also novices, come from all around the world for the chance to hunt and bag their own python. And obviously, they can then use the skin for different things. So we have now, in addition to opportunities on the 32 commission-managed lands, which are available year-round, we also can have removal of pythons on private lands at any time and humanely killing of pythons at any time with landowner permission. No permit or hunting license is necessary for that. In fact, FWC encourages people to remove and humanely kill pythons from private lands whenever possible. So we have worked, FWC has really led the charge on this. They launched the Python Action Team Removing Invasive Constrictors program many years ago. It helps engage qualified individuals with non-native constrictor handling experience, and it compensates them for python removal from public land. So we're putting a bounty on the head of every one of these pythons to try to provide an economic incentive for people to want to come and remove them. And some people just like doing it for sport, but I think having the bounty is helpful. But that wasn't enough. So we've seen a lot of progress. We've seen a lot of pythons removed. I think they can chart you and show you the increase over the years in the number of pythons that have been removed. But the simple point of the matter was, at that pace, that was not enough to get where you needed to go on python removal. So last year we worked with FWC leading on a bold decision and made a bold decision to engage a private sector partner to strengthen this program. So they partnered with Inversa, a Miami-based company that helps ensure biodiversity preservation through the ethical removal of invasive species to get this done. But this company also markets leather made from these invasive species. And so as of today, we can celebrate the fact that they've delivered on their objective 1.5 years ahead of schedule. That's right. In the first 3 months since transitioning to the program with Inversa on May 1st, FWC and Inversa have tripled the number of python removals. In July of this year, we had 748 removals compared to 235 removals in July of 2024. And honestly, 235 removals was not considered a small number at the time. We had 1,022 removals across May and July of this year compared to 343 removals during the same period last year. FWC management workload is down 89%, giving staff biologists valuable time back to focus on science, policy, and the other things the agency does well. In the month of July alone, the program removed more pythons than the entire 12 months pre-transition. That's incredible that they're doing it. So we appreciate everybody that's been involved with this. FWC has contracted hunters that have become professional Army protecting the Everglades. They're now getting paid about 60% better for each snake. Morale is very high amongst the python hunters. This, of course, is our investment of the $2 million that we put in to this year's budget. but I think the results speak for themselves, and these have been dramatic results, and they've been very effective results. And so I am requesting, let's keep this momentum going. We want to work with the Florida legislature to make sure that this funding stays in place so that we continue to do what needs to be done to rid the Everglades of this invasive species. And, you know, Inversa, they'll make wallets with the python skin. They'll make, yeah, we got a wallet right here, python skin wallet. They'll make boots. They'll make, what else do you guys have? Belts, nice belts. They even did, a couple years ago, python footballs. Yes. And I think they have a python baseball here. This is, I think it'll be something we'll put in the office, but, you know, python baseball. I don't know what Mason would say if I tried to throw this to him in batting practice. He may not like it as much, but it's it. So you have all these different trinkets that you can do, but I will tell you some of the stuff that's very fashionable, and I'm not somebody that really is very good in knowing what that would be, but these guys do. They sell these things, and when they become very popular, they sell them for a lot of money. So they have an economic incentive to get every python out of here, because they can then turn that python skin into these products that then they can sell for more money. So we're harnessing the incentives of the private sector to be able to do what I think everybody wants to see, is get these Burmese pythons out of the Florida Everglades. It's not easy to find these things. I mean, it's not like, you know, it ain't like hunting a deer or something like that. I mean, you really got to look, and the people that do this do a really good job. So I want to thank everybody who's been involved in this. I mean, I know when Rodney told me that this was a possibility, it made perfect sense to me, because if we can harness the economic incentives in a way that's going to help remove these pythons, you know, that's going to be a force multiplier, and I knew it would help. I didn't know that the numbers would be this dramatic, I must confess. So it's been a pleasant surprise to see the progress, and I know we're going to continue to do it. And I want to thank FWC for what they've done, as well as Inversa for the great partnership. Okay, we'll hear from Roger Young, then we'll hear from Inversa. Roger?
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate that. Well said on all points and all fronts. What a beautiful day to be here at Hungerland WMA. It's an honor to be here today to highlight the success of the public-private partnership in combating invasive Burmese pythons that we have with Inversa, and celebrating those wins here today. But first off, Governor, we would not have the success that we are achieving today. It would not be possible without your support from day one, without your support and the support of the legislature. We sincerely appreciate all the support that you've given us to endeavor in this venture. Your unprecedented support for protecting Florida's environment has been there from day one, and we sincerely appreciate that. We appreciate all your commitment for conservation and for the Everglades from the very top seat of the state of Florida, and we're blessed to be in a state that has so much concern and care for our environment. I want to thank also the Inversa team for handling an age-old problem with engineering, technology advancements, and innovative methods. Sometimes when faced with the same old problems year in and year out, you have to take risks and to consider new tools to combat the issues, and that's exactly what they've done. And like the governor said, since they've taken over, just from the period of May through July, we have tripled the removal of Burmese pythons, invasive Burmese pythons from the Everglades, and that's what this program is all about, and that's why it's so important. And of course, we want to thank all of our partners. We couldn't do this without our Fish and Wildlife Foundation of Florida. They've been such great partners for us and supporters of this and Inversa, and also the South Florida Water Management District. Shout out to Executive Director Drew Bartlett for all he does in supporting our Python Challenge through the years and educating people on the dangers and the removals of invasive Burmese pythons. So, and of course, without due thanks to our commissioners for supporting our agency's efforts in educating the public about invasive species and helping to restore our habitats to our natural environment, because that's what it's all about, is restoring our natural environment and restoring the native wildlife that belongs on that landscape. And that's what we're doing here today, and that's what these partnerships are doing, and we look forward to the continued success. This is just the beginning. We're excited about the future of it, and Governor, thank you for your support, and we look forward to this moving forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank Governor DeSantis and his administration for prioritizing the Everglades, bringing common sense into conservation, and facilitating the single largest investment in Everglades restoration in history. Governor, I know you played baseball. I know you beat me to the punch here, but I know you played baseball, so we got this made for your office to memorialize this ambitious project, and we thought you might want something to round out the collection.
I like it. Thank you.
I can hold it here if you want.
Well, I got to figure out, is this a ball juicier than a normal ball, or is it something that's deader than a normal ball?
One way to find out.
I'll bet you Otani could hit it out either way.
I would also like to thank Chairman Rodney Barretto, without whom this would not be possible, and Executive Director Roger Young with FWC for being incredible partners, leading the most innovative wildlife agency in the country. Thank you. I'm very excited to share the results of our incredible public-private partnership. My name is Arif Chavda, co-founder and CEO of Universal Leathers. We help government agencies manage invasive species by connecting their biomass to the private sector. And in this case, that means fashion, turning invasive species into luxury-grade leathers. 2 years ago, FWC saw that the invasives were winning, and they wanted to see that we had to do something different. I'm happy to share that we've been succeeding in that charge. Because we've been able to start solving this incredible Florida problem by converting invasives into fashion for consumers from Paris to New York, we have tripled the removals from the Patrick program, all while reducing FWC's workload burden by about 89%. All of this is happening while paying our hunters about 60% better. This means more pythons out of Florida, this means more jobs and income for Floridians, and most importantly, this means that native biodiversity in the Everglades has a chance to rebalance naturally. While we've done a lot, we're not stopping there. We want to improve removals by 10x. And our investments in technology will make that happen. Last week, we had our first AI-enabled positive visual python detection from an aerial system. And yesterday, we finalized our predictive behavioral AI model that will improve python capture by up to 50x. Helping us and our hunters remove exponentially more python. The only way Florida is going to win this war against invasives is by consistently removing more pythons every single year. And that can be accomplished by technology-assisted removals that stretch the taxpayer dollar as efficiently as possible. The future looks bright here in Florida, and I'm excited for where we are now, and even more excited for where we'll be in a year. And it's all because of the leadership in this great state, Governor DeSantis, Chairman Barretto, Roger, and all of our wonderful partners at FWC who share our vision for a strong and healthy Everglades. As we like to say, it's a good day for the Everglades, it's a bad day to be a python. Thank you.
All right, good job. So I think it's great. I mean, if they can increase at all from here, that's going to be big, but if they're able to reach the numbers that they're seeking, that's going to be totally transformational. I mean, I remember when we first started out on this, I mean, we'd get some pythons, but I mean, it was like, I mean, the first python challenge of my governor, I mean, I don't know how, it wasn't that many that they caught, right? And then now, you even with the python challenge, you're seeing some of them get more, and then more people are going, but then this really takes it to the next level. And the reality is you know, you have these female pythons, they're just churning out these eggs like nonstop, and I know they've worked to target the nests and things, but it's if you're not really getting ahead, you will have no chance to ever catch up to it. So this is the kind of the next salvo. We started paying the bounties, that helped a lot, increased the numbers, but I think this is gonna take it to the moon. So thanks to everybody who's been involved. Okay, do we have any questions? Yes.
You did bring up a lot about the Everglades today, and I've been getting a lot of questions from fishermen in this specific area and Stuart about where you stand on that South Line rock mine project and how close it is to the EAA. Do you have any concerns about that? Do you have a position on that?
So our Department of Environmental Protection is not going to allow anything that is being done on that, which is obviously approved by Palm Beach County, to impact what we're doing in the EAA, and that's something that they've gotten very clear direction from me on, and that's something that they're confident that they're going to be able to do. I mean, obviously, you know, doing that type of blasting was done to get the EAA reservoir. I mean, that's what you had to do, so it's not like it's never done, and we don't think it's going to impact, but we're going to make sure that it doesn't impact. Yep.
You talk a lot about water quality, Governor. I was wondering, how do you think the St. Lucie River should be cleaned up?
Well, I think part of what we've done is we've done the C-44 reservoir. Now, I know that there's been issues with the federal component to that, but that reservoir should make it so that you would never be in a situation where you're discharging dirty water into those estuaries. I think that that's a critical thing. We put a lot of resources into that. I know there have been some, on the federal side, some fits and starts, but if you think about where we are today, compared to like when I took office on the heels of massive algae blooms in this part of the state in 2016, massive blooms in 2018 in Southwest Florida, and that was really fueled by the discharging of water from Lake Okeechobee, which is not done by the state of Florida. That's done by the Army Corps of Engineers, but when the lake gets, that's what they do because they're trying to prevent flooding of the areas. If you look since 2019, the number of discharges that have been done have been virtually non-existent compared to what they used to be done. Part of that is we work with the Corps to manage the lake differently in my early years, but then part of it is the infrastructure, that we've been able to bring online. Lake Okeechobee gets runoff from all of Central Florida. You've got, obviously agriculture people will say, but I mean, you've got like stuff that happens at Disney World ends up down there with everything. And so we do have people in the lake that are working on cleaning the algae and stuff, and they've had some success. But the main thing is if you can clean that water, if the lake gets too high and you clean it and then it's fresh, then if you put it in the estuary, that's not going to do damage. And there's some parts, the St. Lucie side, they never want water from Lake Okeechobee, even if it's clean. The Southwest Florida side, the Calusa, they actually want it in the dry season. And so they want some controlled releases. They want the water to be clean, and that's what you have to do. So the infrastructure we've done, I think, has been incredible. And I think it has made a difference, but I think it's going to continue to make a difference going forward. Yes?
As of right now, we just rolled it out to our beta testers, so about 1 to 5 are now using some form of this technology. If any of them are interested in our of the cohort of 50 we have, just give us a ring. We can add them to the beta group.
That'd be a great fall to actually go out with you and see how the AI technology is working and catch this.
Oh, that'd be. Yeah.
Would you like to handle one? Do you want that'd be a good shot?
I'll get there.
Okay. All right, we'll get that done.
So what are your thoughts on, unrelated, but what are your thoughts on the Orange County case of Jacoby Tillman, who was granted bond? It was revoked this morning after his arrest for attacking a woman who was jogging.
Well, I'm glad that they got him back behind bars where he belongs. I thought for the crimes he was accused of committing, to spring him out on basically a negligible bond, I thought was a disgrace. And, these judges get elected in Florida, I think, as most people know. And so in some of these jurisdictions, unfortunately, some of these judges get on the bench and they do everything they can to benefit the accused criminal. I want judges that are there to protect the public and make sure that folks aren't released who shouldn't be released. And so, I've always been opposed, obviously, to no cash bail, which they've done in different parts of the country. They actually tried to do it in Florida, and I stopped it. But these decisions need to be consistent with the seriousness of the offense. So I'm glad that that's been remedied. I don't know why it came to that. That's kind of uncharacteristic of Florida. But you do have some of these spots. I mean, Orange County, whatever the judges, and I know we have some great ones, but maybe some not as great, but you also have a state attorney there who has been weak on crime. I mean, there's no question she's been weak on crime, and that has, I think, a spillover effect to the community. So I'm glad the bail's been revoked. I'm glad he's being held accountable, but I was very disturbed when I saw that, for sure. Yes?
I guess many people in Palm Beach County are wondering why a special election for House District 87 hasn't been called yet. What's causing the delay, and what percent voters?
We're going to do it. That's coming soon. It's when these things happen, there's a cascading effect. If you have a Senate election, House members that run have to resign. There's all these different things that happen. So what we try to do is see how the dust settles and make it as efficient as possible, so that that election will be called. And it's not just there. We've got a bunch of them around, because we've had some turnover in the legislature on some of these things. So stay tuned. That'll happen, not just in Palm Beach, in other parts of the country. All right, thanks everybody. God bless.